What's up, everybody, and welcome to Wildcard Sports. In today's video, we are going to be going over the best case and worst case scenarios for the AFC East. We're going to be going over their win totals, and then we're going to compare it to Vegas to see if my predictions are close to Vegas or worse. We'll see what happens there. But we're going to go over each team in the AFC East. We're going to look at their schedule. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're new, and let's just start with the Miami Dolphins and look at their schedule and see best case scenario for the Dolphins. So I'm just going to go through it really quick. We're not going to break down each game or anything, and I'm just going to count the losses here because they should have more wins than losses in the best case scenario. So here we go. So let's just say they beat the Colts on the road. That's a win. They're back at home, division game, win. At the Bills, I'm going to say that's a loss. So that's one loss there. They should beat the Jets fine. We'll say they beat the Panthers. Let's say they beat the Chargers. Let's say they beat the Browns at the Cleveland. At Falcons should be winnable, but it's a road game, almost mid-season. I'm just going to give them a loss there. Then they got really tough one. Well, let's give them a win. Let's give them a win because this is the best case scenario. And then they got the Ravens and Bills. I don't think they're going to win either of those. Well, definitely not the Ravens, so that's another loss. They're back at home versus the Bills. This will be their second time playing them, division game. Let's just say they win that game, but I really don't think so. Two losses there. Should beat the actually, I'm going to say they lose the Commanders, so that's because, it's not a home game. It's being played in Madrid, Spain, so that's another loss there. That's 3. At the Jets, or Saints should be a win. Jets, let's just say they sweep the Jets this year. At the Steelers, could be tough because it's a away game. Sunday Night Football. Oof. I don't know. I'm going to give them the loss there. That's 4. At home versus the Bengals, Sunday Night Football. It's going to be close. Bengals should win, but best case scenario, we'll give them the win. And then beat the Bucks, but then at the Patriots, I think they're going to lose there. So 5 losses. Best case scenario here, 12 and 5. Best case scenario for the Dolphins. And I know it's probably not going to happen, but if everything goes right for them, if Tua stays healthy, they got the big pickup in Minka. They traded for, with Jalen Ramsey, but I don't know. The Dolphins are just one of those teams that they should be pretty average. So they're probably going to be in the middle of my best and worst case scenario. So let's look at the worst case scenario here, and it could be bad. Let's just say they lose game 1 of the season because it's a road game. I don't think the Colts are any good, but let's just say they lose game 1. So that's a loss. They should beat the Patriots, lose against the Bills, should beat the Jets. Panthers, they should beat. Browns, they should beat, or Chargers. I don't know if they beat the Chargers. Let's say that's another loss. They should beat the Browns. At the Falcons, I'm going to say that's a loss. Worst case, lose against the Ravens, 5. Lose against the Bills again, that's 6 losses. Lose against the Commanders, 7. Beat the Saints. Should beat the Jets. Let's say they lose against the Steelers. That's 8 losses. Lose against the Bengals, 9 losses. Should beat the Bucks. And then, lose against the Patriots. So 10 losses. Worst case scenario here for the Dolphins. Let me know what you guys think. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. Like they're going to get like 8, 9 wins. Let's go look at Vegas to see what they said. This is on BetMGM. We'll go down to the Dolphins here. Miami, 8.5. They have them at 8.5 wins. So like I said, I think they're right in the middle. I'm going to give them 9 just to be nice. I definitely don't think they're going to hit that best case scenario spot. But I'm going to say about 9 wins for the Dolphins. So if I had to take the over-under on the Dolphins wins, I would slightly take the over. But I wouldn't be surprised if they hit the under, if that makes sense. All right, let's move on to the Patriots here. And last year they were 4-13, so they should be going up. Drake May doing well. last year. He should be getting better. He could hit a slump. Who knows? But, the Patriots got Stephon Diggs over the offseason, so maybe that will change some things. Their defense should be getting even better. So let's see what the Patriots do right now. We're going to look at best case scenario for the Patriots here. So I'm just going to go over the losses. Should beat the Raiders. Division game, they should lose against the Dolphins week 2. Let's say they beat the Steelers, beat the Panthers, lose against the Bills. So that's 2 losses so far. Let's say they beat the Saints, beat the Titans, beat the Browns, and the Falcons, lose against the Bucks, and then beat the Jets, lose against the Bengals, should beat the Giants. They could beat the Bills, division game. Let's say they do that. Lose against the Ravens, that's 5. And then beat the Jets and Dolphins to end the season. I really don't see them going 12-5, even though I just said that. So I'm going to adjust it a little bit. I'm going to go, oh man, at best I just see them getting 10 wins. So I'm going to go 10-7 best case scenario for the Patriots, and that's great. I mean, a 10-win season, possibly could get a wild card spot with that. So, definitely should be better than last year. Let's look at worst case scenario. And I don't think they're going to be worse like they were last year. So worst case, they lose against the Dolphins. I still think they beat the Raiders. Lose against the Dolphins. Should beat the Steelers and Panthers. Lose against the Bills. Let's say they lose against the Saints on the road. And maybe even the Titans. So that's 4. Beat the Falcons. Say they lose against the Bucks. That's 5 losses. Lose against the Bengals. That's 6 losses. And then lose against the Bills. I get swept against, so that's 7. Lose against the Ravens. That's 8 losses. Let's just say they lose against the Jets on the road and then beat the Dolphins. So 9 losses. I still think this should be a good season for the Patriots. So what is that? 8-9 for the Patriots. I really do think that's good, and I think it should be in that range. I feel like, I don't know what Vegas said, but let's look. I feel like it's probably like 7 wins, but let's look. Oh, no, they're at 8.5. Okay, Patriots, 8.5 wins. So I kind of got it on the spot there. I don't know. I don't see them. I see them getting at least 7 wins this season. I'm going to almost guarantee that. Hopefully I'm right. We'll look at this at the end of the season to see if I'm right, but I'm giving the Patriots at least 7 wins this year, but best case scenario, 10-7 for the Patriots. All right, let's move on to the Buffalo Bills. Bills should be getting even better. I mean, they were 13-4 last year, first place. I think, it's kind of going to be the same this year. They're going to be first place in the division. I would be shocked if they're not. They just got to get over that hump. They can't get to the Super Bowl, and they got, somewhat of a tough schedule. Definitely first game of the season. So we're going to look at best case scenario here for the Bills. So beat the Ravens, Jets, Dolphins, Saints, Patriots. They could start the season. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-0. They could lose against the Chiefs, but I think they should beat the Chiefs because, they are at home. So let's go 8-0 here. Dolphins division game. It could be a fluke here. I'm just going to say they lose because I don't know if the Bills can go 8-0 to start the season. Definitely a possibility, but I think there should be 1 loss in there at some point. I know I'm saying the Dolphins, but it's going to be one of those teams, like a fluke loss. Should beat the Bucks. At Texans could be tough. Sunday Night Football. I'm going to give the Texans a win there, even though it could go either way. So 2 losses for the Bills. Should beat the Steelers. Let's say they beat the Bengals. Going to be a tough one. Beat the Patriots, Browns. Let's say they lose against the Eagles. So, I don't know. Best case scenario, only 3 losses for me for the Bills. 14-3. Best case scenario. But, I mean, they really could go 15-2. If everyone stays healthy. Of course, that's the main thing, but 14-3, I really like them at 14-win season. All right, so let's look at worst case scenario. Whoops, it shouldn't be too bad, but let's look. Should be still a winning record. Let's say they lose week 1 to the Ravens. They should win. Let's say they lose to the Chiefs, so that's 2 losses right there. Let's say they lose to the Dolphins on the road. Let's say they lose to the Texans, that's 4. I mean, division game, let's say the Patriots pull out the W there. I know they said it on the Patriots prediction, so that's 5 losses. And let's say they lose to the Eagles, that's 6 losses. Worst case scenario. I don't see that happening. But yeah, still an 11-win season. I think they're going to get at least what they did last year. They're going to get at least 13 wins. That's what I'm saying right now. But best case scenario, 14-3. Let's see what Vegas has them at. They're probably at like 12 or 13 because Vegas doesn't really go too high usually. Let's see. Buffalo. Yeah, 11.5. So Vegas has them at 11.5 wins, which, you know, if you look at my thing, I'm going to bet the over. I would take the over on the Bills to get at least 12 wins. So take that if it's still available. All right, moving on to the Jets. The good old Jets. Best case scenario, they got Justin Fields in there as their quarterback now. They got Aaron Glenn as their new coach. So is this a fresh start for the Jets? We will see. We will find out. We're going to go over the best case scenario right now on their schedule. So, and bear with me here. I'm going to give them wins that they probably shouldn't be getting, but best case scenario, right? So let's say they beat the Steelers week 1. I still think they lose to the Bills. Probably going to get swept by the Bills. But so that's 1 loss. I mean, they're probably going to lose. Probably going to lose to the Bucs and the Dolphins. So that's 3 losses there. Let's say they beat the Cowboys at home. Beat the Broncos at home. Panthers. Lose to the Bengals. That's 4 losses. They're going to lose 1 to the Patriots, so we'll do the away game. That's 5. Lose to the Ravens. That's 6 losses. Let's say they beat the Falcons and Dolphins. Let's say they beat the Jags and the Saints and the Patriots and lose to the Bills. That's 7 losses. This isn't going to happen, but best case scenario for the Jets, 10-7, but not in their division. It's going to be very tough for them. So I'm not even confident with my best case scenario prediction on the Jets, but 10-7 is the max they can do here. Let's go look at worst case scenario though, because it could be bad. Last year they were 5-12. Let's see if they could beat that this year. So let's just go over the wins here. Let's say they beat the Steelers, but lose to the Bills, lose to the Bucs, Dolphins, Cowboys. They should beat the Broncos. That's 2 wins. Beat the Panthers, 3. Lose to the Bengals. Let's say they beat the Browns, 4. Lose to the Patriots, Ravens. Let's say they beat the Falcons, 5. Let's say they beat the Dolphins, 6. Let's say they beat the Saints, 7, and beat the Patriots, 8. So that's still pretty good. And that's me being very nice to them. I'm going to give them... Yeah, no, 8 is too high for worst case scenario. So I'm going to say still good for the Jets. I'm going to say 7 and 10. So pretty much the opposite, the inverse here. Best case scenario, 10-7 for the Jets. Worst case, 7-10, which I feel like I'm being very nice to the Jets right now. But let's look what Vegas said. New York Jets, 5.5. So very low. They pretty much have them at what the Jets were last year. They had 5 wins. So if I were going to bet on the Jets win total, maybe I would take the over because I think they could get 6 wins if Justin Fields, plays decent. If their offense plays, great as a whole, because they do have a strong run game overall. But will their defense step up? Who knows? So I'm gonna take the over on the Jets. I'm gonna take the over 7-10. So those are my best and worst case scenarios, guys, on these teams. Let me know in the comments which teams you agree with, disagree with. I'm sure there's a few. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next prediction video. Peace out.